I broke my cafetiere, and I'm quite sad about it. Sup kids, how are you today? I am doing well. I'm actually having a fairly productive day. Last weekend I kind of wasted my weekend. I didn't waste my weekend. I did more than I suggested it in the previous one. In the previous podcast where I was talking about comfort and finding your own comfort zone and how to get out of that comfort zone, which some people really responded to. And thank you for comments and sharing and whatnot. Half the time when I'm sitting in this room, I don't know if what I'm saying is going to have any relevance to anybody, ever. It's just me rambling. So I never get sad if videos don't get views. I get more sad if I have a guest on the videos and get views, because I want to show people the work which is out there and the people who are out there and give them a platform to get their expression and discussion across. So I get sadder about those. But when I do my solo ones, it's just me in a bedroom, chatting, having an idea. So it's nice. It's nice when people kind of respond and get on board with an idea. But there was a subject in the previous podcast which I kind of glancing blurred. I listened back to that podcast today, and I feel like I glancing blew a lot of issues. Sore knees afterwards. No, I kind of touched on a lot of issues. Which I then said, and we'll discuss that later, and I'll discuss that another time. And I realised I do that quite a bit. And I do make a note. I have a little note on the screen over here of things which I should discuss at some point. But this one, I didn't want to wait to discuss, because it's been on my list for a while. And I kind of touched on it, and I thought we would kind of delve into it. So something which I discussed or alluded to, is the word, in the previous video, was this idea that I keep projects running. And I've discussed it millions of times before. I keep projects running. I have 5 or 6 projects going at any one time. And a few people think that that's insane, and on some level it is, but it's also a massive coping mechanism for me. I keep multiple projects going, and I mentioned it in the previous video that one of the reasons I do this is because if I don't have projects to do, I get quite depressed. Creating, working, doing things really motivates me. It makes me feel alive. Some people, they work out. Some people watch sports. Some people sing. I don't do that. I create things, and I bring concepts, and I like showing other people things. Is the simplest way I can put it. I like showing other people ideas and having them consider those ideas and relate to those ideas. And this is, again, it was one of these reasons I started the podcast, is that is what drives me. That is what gets me out of bed. That is why I make artwork. I make artwork to generate ideas. I publish small pressy things which are filled with other people's work at the cost to myself, because it gives me that passion and pushes me out. So when I don't have that, and when I'm not doing that, I get very depressed. So as I mentioned the previous weekend, I was attempting to make work for an exhibition for a friend, and it just wasn't forthcoming. I was doing loads of sketches, and I was trying to get this idea out of my head, which again is another subject for another day. But there was moments where I was just watching films, playing games, doing anything I could, not to distract myself from that feeling, but just to kind of fill the time whilst I let ideas circulate in my head. I always think it's important, if you have an idea, to keep it there, but don't try and complete it in the space of a day. Let it gestate. Let an idea come. You think, oh, I'm going to draw this. And it's like, right, I'm going to draw this. So do a sketch. And that sketch will get the idea out, and then that allows me a bit of time to come back to that sketch and go, okay, well, what extra can I add to this? Where's the addition? Do I need to add anything? Do I need to remove something from this? Are the parts of this which don't work? Are the parts of this which do? And it's very much those periods where I'm kind of entertaining myself. And I shouldn't feel bad about entertainment, but I do, because I'm not doing the thing which I know gives me that euphoria That serotonin kick in the face when I wake up and go, oh my God, I'm making work today, and that's the thing. So today is a great example of that. Today what am I doing today? I'm doing about 5 or 6 different projects. Right now I'm currently uploading Potato Boy to Amazon because I'm at a stage where I want to generate a proof copy, and I'm figuring all that out. I'm also doing the illustrations again for the exhibition which I'm doing. I'm progressing those illustrations. I'm recording a podcast. I've got a zine thing going on down there somewhere which I need to contribute to and create in order for the thing which I'm doing in York in August. So that's 4 projects which I'm doing. And I came to a realization a few months back that the reason I do this is that I find my personal boredom causes me to be self-destructive. And I don't know if that's a relatable aspect to people. But if I'm bored or unfulfilled in my own life, I don't punish everybody else. I don't go out of my way to make other people's lives hell. I don't ring people up and say, hey, come entertain me. I don't do any of that. I just punish myself. I make bad decisions for myself because and to have a simpler way of putting it, I'm chasing that feeling. I'm chasing that edge which I get when I'm creating artwork, and trying to simulate that through other means is a self-destructive act. It's the same as any addiction, really. You kind of that's that. Oh, what's the wording? The wording is it's kind of like when you do heroin for the first time, or do cocaine for the first time, and then you try other drugs, and you're trying to simulate that first kick, which you'll never have again because your body will ingest it and go, oh well, this is weird. Okay, well, we'll turn that down a notch, and then you do more and more heroin and do more and more cocaine until eventually you die, or get onto methamphetamine, and it's chasing that addiction. And that's what it is. So when I'm bored, I turn on myself. I go, well, we're bored, so clearly we are the problem. We need something to feel alive. We need something to feel like more than meat, which I know I'm not. And I'm kind of forcing a chemical reaction in my brain. So I do all sorts. And I can give you examples. I don't know. It seems like a quite hard thing, yet a simple thing to explain. So for instance would be the food. I eat when I'm bored. Always have done ever since I was a child. I eat when I'm bored. If I'm not doing anything and there is food available, I will eat that food. Doesn't matter whether I want it. Doesn't matter whether I need it. I will just eat that food. I was a big kid, and I mean like a big kid. I wasn't short. I was tall and big. There was one of the things which I was picked on in school was my weight. It's one thing which I'm now very self-conscious of, and currently on a diet. That's the way these things go, and manifest themselves in the future. So yeah, I eat when I'm bored. And that's why I don't buy snacks. I don't keep snacks in the house because I know that if I have snacks in the house and I do have a period of boredom, I will eat those snacks. Last night I came home from work and just ate a packet of ham. Just a packet of ham. It was in the fridge. It was a mistake to buy that ham. It was just in the fridge, just chilling out. So that same way that you kind of go out and you think, oh, I haven't got anything to do. Let's go out for a drink. Let's go out for a drink. So I can, and I dread to use this phrasing, but I can't not use this phrasing. It's that kind of thing of trying to feel anything else but what you're feeling right now. And this is something which I can kind of also relate to extreme depression of when you've gone through tough times, going through like a breakup or a family death or anything like that, where you turn to something because you want to feel anything else. You want to feel anything else other than that despair. And for me, boredom is essentially despair. It's the anti everything in my head, because my head, I don't know, it sounds hugely big-headed, and maybe there's an ego aspect to this, but my head is constant. It has to be, because there's too many things around me which I need to ingratiate into my thoughts. So I'm constantly pushing that button, going, okay, and that can lead to other problems, which again we'll talk about another time. But you reach out and you try and find something to block that. You find food. Food gives you a good feeling. Food gives you, that taste. So you go, ooh, taste. And then you suddenly realize, oh, crap, that taste is gone and it didn't actually feel fulfilled at all. You start drinking because drinking numbs everything. And then my problem is, and it does happen on a regular basis, if I go on a night out, halfway through the night, my brain will kick in and go, ooh, you know what I just found? I just found that feeling of boredom. And suddenly I don't want to be there on the night, and I want to retreat to my comfort zone. But there's a million and one ways. You might start fights. That's a common one. You get bored and you start a fight with someone. I don't mean like a physical fight, like an argument. You just want to poke the bear. You want to go, oh, I'm bored. Well, maybe I can do it. I don't know. There could be a couple, you might have sex. That could be another thing. That's, again, another thing which I think people do turn to in a regular basis is, I'm bored, let's have sex. Again, you're chasing that feeling. Chasing just that, I don't know, trying to fill that gap. It sounds like an endless cycle. In many ways it is. There was a post I saw recently which in a way I felt insulted by, and it suggested that capitalism is the cause for people like me. That I've been convinced that if I'm not productive, then I'm worthless, and I don't think that at all. I think some people do. Some people feel like if they're not contributing all the time, then they're worthless. I mean, I'm not contributing when I do my productive things. When I create, I don't feel like I'm contributing to society as a whole. I have a job for that. That's why I work. I pay taxes and I do all that kind of stuff. That's me contributing to society. That's me being productive. When I do stuff in my own home and do stuff to create work and make art, I'm doing that for me. That's not part of a capitalist structure. That's just part of, to me, that's part of being human. And there's no way around that, because every single person I meet, when you talk to them about something which is important to them, like art, like sports, like food, you kind of, I've touched on it before in previous podcasts, you see that little switch go in their head and they go, yes, that. And if they could do that all the time, they'd be gloriously happy. But you can't, because life, So I don't think there's anything to do with the jobs and the systems we placed to ourselves. I think that's just a natural part of being human, that when you find something which does give you that euphoric feeling and that mental stimulation which you need in your life, you chase it. And what's wrong with chasing it? What's wrong with just grabbing hold of it and going, yeah, this is what I want to do? So I Googled self-destructive boredom. And I found an article, which I'm just scrolling through, called Down the Rabbit Hole, Stop Making Self-Destruction a Cure for Boredom. So at least, I do know there's at least one person who ever wrote this article who does this. Sheena Sharma. What a name. Alliteration. And it's full of things. It's full of things which I've done. It's full of things which I know I do, and I'm kind of a boy. Staying awake won't reawaken your spirit. I stay awake all the time. Constantly, because I find sleep is boring, and I find sleep is an interruption to me doing things. And it's not that I'm, trying to outdo myself or drag myself down, but again, I'm part of it. I want to drain myself silly. I've said this time and time before. I feel like everyone needs to break at some point. And if I'm bored, then I feel like I have to break myself in order to feel alive. There may be aspects of self-harm in this. It's abuse of yourself. But obviously I'm not, I've never self-harmed. I don't begin to even understand self-harm, but I know people who have. And part of it leads from boredom, which leads to depression. What is this? Oh, that little white baggie won't lie in your luggage. Putting yourself to sleep with Xanax and cocaine is not going to help. Again, all of these things, they're temporary measures, and I find I'm just avoiding that. All I'm doing is chasing non-boredom. I'm patchworking myself. On some level, it is something which I've had to learn to come to terms with, because I know that when I'm bored, I get self-destructive. Is a level of personal growth which I've had to make. Excuse me. To recognize that, first off, because when I was a teenager and when I was much younger, I'd never recognize that. I wouldn't recognize that when I was bored, I would do bad things. When I was bored, the moral compass on me would just back and forth. And just everything I did in college, I could probably put down to boredom. All the mistakes I ever made as a teenager, I could probably put down to boredom. And this is a thing. This links into the whole teenage aspect of everything. People say, oh, teenagers, they're so bad, and they do this and they do that. It's like, no, they're just bored. They don't have something to trigger them. They don't have something to go, oh, hey, this is what actually makes you feel alive. Mainly because most of a teenager's life is very sheltered. It's people going, oh, no, you can't do that, and you can't do that, and you can't do that. So they just get bored, and then they go, all right, well, if I can't do any of that, what can I do to feel alive? Oh, I know. I'll go jump off a bridge. I'll go dive in a river. I'll go take some drugs which aren't good for me. That's all it is. I don't understand how adults don't understand that. I don't know if at some point for some people you just lose this feeling. I know responsibility takes over when family kicks in, and your life is just busy all the time, and maybe you forget that feeling, and maybe that's what I'm chasing. Maybe that's all I'm trying to hold on to in life, is just sitting there and going, oh no, I can never lose this feeling. Oh, that's all I never want to do is not lose this feeling. Blah blah blah. So many double negatives in that sense. I don't understand it. I feel like you need to just allow people to explore and find that and encourage it. But I've taken steps. I've taken steps personally to, not feel so bad when I do waste a day, when I sit down and watch a film, when I play a game, when I do things which I actually enjoy. I mean, this is the thing. I studied film. I love film. I play games. I enjoy video games. I enjoy board games. I enjoy meeting up with friends. And I feel less bad about that now than I do before, way back when. We're coming to that maybe it's just me point, aren't we? But maybe it's just me. I've noticed it now. I can't just stop doing it. I gotta start the podcast with some kids, and then it would maybe just me. The self-destructive attitudes personally come from boredom. When it came to depression and grief, sure, you go down a self-destructive line, but that self-destructive line's always waiting for me in the form of boredom, and there's not much I can do to avoid that. Maybe one day life will kick in and adulthood will kick in and kick me in the ass and go, no, there's responsibility, and that will fill that boredom void. That obligation will kick in. Maybe that's why some people have families really early on. I don't know. I feel like I'm just spitballing at this moment. I'm trying to reason why I'm like I am and why everyone else is like they are, and I don't know any of it. I'm a guy in a bedroom, rolling around, just talking to himself, avoiding the boredom of the day. But I got to go back to doing my things because my proof is uploaded and it's the wrong shape. Joyous. And I'm going to go work on my projects. I'd encourage you to. This is why I encourage people to create. Maybe that's all I'm doing with my work. I encourage people to create because I want them to be able to fight their own boredom and thus feel better about themselves. I want them to have the euphoria that I'm having. And maybe that's why I should put on an event and introduce people to that. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you guys later.